Good morning and welcome to Community Church Unitarian Universalist. I am Alicia. I'm your worship associate this morning. It is a joy, as always, to be with you. We are a progressive, open-minded, and inclusive religious community. We welcome all who are on a spiritual search for truth and meaning. Ours is a faith in action as we do the work of social justice and elevate compassion in our quest to live ethically, recognizing the inherent worth and dignity of every being. We are delighted to have in our pulpit, I think for the first time, Robert Sullivan, who is one of our newer members, although a longtime Unitarian and a member of First Church as well. Robert comes from a French family from Lake Charles, Louisiana. He came to Unitarian Universalism after Katrina. He came into my life by doing social justice work around climate change and climate justice. So we have fought together for a long time, and please welcome him to our pulpit today. And we have one announcement before we begin.
Thank you so much. Hope everyone's summer is going well. On Friday, August 29th, is the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. And we're going to have a program here. And it's announced in the newsletter, so details of it there. But we got parts of it in which we need your help, as well as if you can invite others who may have been amongst us at that time or not, because this is sort of a participatory program where we'll start out with a meal, a potluck meal at 5 o'clock in the fellowship hall. And then we'll have some displays up from the respective churches. By the way, this is sponsored by the Greater New Orleans Unitarian Universalists. So it's a joint project of all three churches in the New Orleans area. And so, but part of the thing that I'm involved with is a timeline. Will be a physical timeline, and there'll be little stickies, and you can write when you return to the city or whatever, and add it to the timeline. And so it's going to be an interactive sort of opportunity for people to participate. We also going to have a slideshow that will play up here, and we need your photos. So Marilyn Malone has announced this previously. You can get them to her or to me, and we'll get them, and we're going to have them as part of the program. And we're still working on the program, and if you have any ideas and thoughts, see me or see Marilyn or others active. Just keep the date open, Friday, August 29th, here at CCUU. Thanks.
These words were written at the time of one of the greatest debacles of the American Empire. Terrifying words they were at the time for me. Come, you masters of war, you that build the big guns, you that build the death planes, you that build all the bombs, you that hide behind walls, you that hide behind desks. I just want you to know I can see through your masks. Let me ask you one question. Is your money that good? Will it buy you forgiveness? Do you think that it could? I think you will find when your death takes its toll, all the money you made will never buy back your soul. And I hope that you die and your death will come soon. I'll follow your casket by the pale afternoon, and I'll watch while you're lowered down to your deathbed. and I'll stand over your grave till I'm sure that you're dead.
It is our custom to light a chalice, invoking hope and eternal truth to our worship. Please join us in singing the words of the chalice lighting, which are printed in your order of service.
We light this flame to offer the light of truth and light, and the hope of love and unity, and the fire of hope and unity.
I do not believe I see any young children here, but I did, since I have the mic, just want to remind you all that as a way of trying to build up our religious education and be more regular with being able to offer religious education, we are always looking for new teachers. It would be very helpful. So if you've ever thought about teaching religious education, please come see Cynthia or Carol, maybe. Yeah, and we would love to have you. But in the meantime, let's sing our children out wherever they may be.
So Bob Dylan wrote those terrible words. At the same time, Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel were writing, more hopeful. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again because a vision, slowly creeping, left its seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sounds of silence.
It is now our sacred time of joys and sorrows. If you are online, you may write your joys and sorrows in the comment section to be read out loud, or in person, you may write them on one of the cards that is being passed out by our greeters. You can remain seated for our hymn, which is 1011 in your teal hymnal, Return Again. From Jim, a sadness that COVID is spreading again at high rates in Louisiana. A joy from Rochelle. Grateful to be starting a new job in a field I'm excited about. Please pray for my success in the learning curves. Congratulations, Rochelle. From Liz Trotter, a concern that Gordon Patton is in Ochsner Hospital after suffering seizures. His wife, Josie, advised that he is currently resting, but movement on his right side has been affected. Gordon is not up for visitors right now. However, Josie could use our love and support at this difficult time. And anonymous Joy, so far Tulane is doing okay, although never been asked to travel less. Or although we've been asked to travel less, I'm sorry. And a joy from Bill. I remember this morning that every day is a gift and a new opportunity, so seize it. That's great. So we will light 2 more candles, one for the joys still arising, still too new to share, and another for the sorrows that we cannot yet put into words. But please know that you are in our hearts. Thank you.
Good morning. I want to thank Alicia for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I have been, as I'm sure everyone else is, tormented by the last few months. And I've been rethinking what it means to be liberal. I found this excerpt by Ryan Mullerson. He calls it a critique of liberal imperialism. And that stimulated me to rethink what I knew about it. So let me read from that text to start with. Liberal imperialism can be framed as a civilizing mission where Western nations see themselves as having a duty to uplift and modernize other societies. This is a form of cultural imperialism, where Western norms and values are presented as superior and desirable. The concept of humanitarian intervention or military force is used to prevent human rights abuses, is often invoked in the context of liberal imperialism. However, critics argue that such interventions can be selective, motivated by strategic interests, and can have unintended consequences for the targeted populations. So there's much more in the article than that. You can find it online under or the title that is in the program. So for me, this means there's an ongoing struggle in the liberal United States between the vision of a republic and the temptation of an empire. Thinking that has helped me get through these horrifying times. This interpretation seems to be new and strange to most people. It was to me. So I'm going to abuse your time this morning to make it clear to you and to me. And I also want to connect our Unitarian Universalist tradition to the American Republic, but not to the American empire. I thought about immigrating from the United States during the war in Vietnam, when the American empire sought full spectrum dominance in Vietnam. I had graduated from Tulane, and the draft came looking for me. I asked my father, Lieutenant Colonel D.E. Sullivan, about Vietnam, since I knew that is where I would be sent. He replied, quote, "I know why I was in Europe, but I don't know why you should be in Vietnam," unquote. Life-saving words from a man who rarely spoke to me. So I became a teacher to avoid the draft and remained a teacher for 45 years. And the Republic more or less survived Vietnam. American imperialism has now become more dangerous and more vicious under Donald Trump. But it did not start with him. American imperialism started at the same time as the Republic. Thomas Jefferson wrote in the Declaration of Independence that all men are created equal, that is, equal before the law. But he took an underage slave and forced her to be his mistress. He also coined the idea that slaves were to be counted as only 3/5 of a person. And finally, he sold Louisiana. He didn't have the right to do that, and Napoleon, a real emperor, didn't have the right to sell it. They just did it without asking my ancestors who were already here. Besides Thomas Jefferson, another example is Andrew Jackson. Though honored for his role in New Orleans and the Battle of New Orleans, it would be in keeping with our recent spate of renaming streets and dismantling statues if we move Jackson's statue to where he belongs, away from the square in front of the cathedral and down to Chalmette battlefield, where he could meditate on his victory for eternity without forcing the rest of us to remember his ethnic cleansing of the Cherokee Nation from Georgia, when they had to walk in winter from Georgia to Oklahoma on the Trail of Tears. But he was not alone in treating the native people with imperial disdain. It was the American thing to do. Jackson based his authority to expel the native peoples on the legal opinion of the first Supreme Court Justice of the United States, John Marshall. John Marshall applied the wording of some papal documents of the 15th century to the United States in the 18th century. The Pope had taught in the 15th century that Christians could take in slavery anyone they met in their explorations if they did not accept the Catholic faith. Whatever the Pope taught at that time was international law because he was in fact the emperor of the Roman Catholic Church. And this opinion was called by the name of the doctrine of discovery. In the 1830s, 300 years later, Justice Marshall, a non-Catholic, wrote that the doctrine of discovery meant native peoples could not own their lands, but could only live on them. Andrew Jackson understood that to mean he could take the lands away from them and distribute them to his friends. The doctrine of discovery was also used to justify enslavement. Sometimes explorers did not teach Christianity to the Native Americans or to the Africans so that they could enslave them. As a result of the genocide of the Native Americans and the enslaved immigration of Africans, we can say that the present population of the United States was shaped by imperial decrees from a pope in the 15th century, applied by imperial presidents of the United States. It was only in 2024 that Pope Francis repudiated the papal bullshit, the papal bull, and apologized for the harm they had caused. Better late than never. A few minutes are not enough to consider all the aspects of the American empire. You want to look at more modern forms anyway. They're the imperial conditions under which we've been living our lives. I want to mention 2 books about the modern American empire that you may find interesting. They're easy reads and very short. One is War is a Racket by General Smedley Butler. It came out in 1935. He writes with regret about his military skills in making the Western Hemisphere safe for American corporations. The other book is Confessions of an Economic Hitman by John Perkins, which came out only in 2004. And he writes about the strategies used by the CIA to topple governments in Chile, Guatemala, and Iran when they did not obey the US government. An interesting side note to General Butler's life illustrates the appeal among the oligarchs of the United States of America's imperial impulse, and also our tendency to cover it up. In the early 30s, Butler was contacted by some of the United States' most powerful corporate leaders to be the military leader of a coup d'etat against President Franklin Roosevelt. They were to capture and execute the president and install a fascist dictatorship like Mussolini's and Hitler's. Prescott Bush, father and grandfather to two recent presidents, was part of that plot. General Butler played along until he had enough information to expose them, and he did. But they were never punished as the traitors that they were. And that part of the story sounds vaguely familiar, as Epstein connections have shown there is a two-tiered system of justice, one for the powerful and another for the rest of us. All men are not equal before the law. The Republic always struggles, and we continue to struggle. So why do we in this church struggle against the empire? What in our beliefs leads us to support the Republic instead of rapidly joining the MAGA movement in support of the current American impulse to authoritarianism? We say we're a religion. We don't have all the bells and whistles of the liturgical churches, so some say we are not a religion. But we live by specific principles. And that is, for me, the true purpose of a religion. So for me, we are a religion. Giving structure and meaning to my life is a religion. So what beliefs guide my thinking, and perhaps yours, in support of the Republic? Let's begin at the beginning of religion in our lives. Our fundamental human choice is whether to live or die. It is a choice. If I just outright choose to die, religion is of no interest. Beliefs are for the living. Once I choose to live, I then choose the best way to live. In our UUA tradition, we share a belief with our more thoughtful Christian, Jewish, Hindu, and other brethren in that we choose to love once we choose to live. Our 7 principles make that clear to the world. So as I see it, all humans first have to choose to live. Then we are free to choose to love, or to hate. Put another way, we can choose the light or the dark, or still another way, we can choose freedom or tyranny, or another way, we can choose republic or empire. That's the logic in my head. As Unitarian Universalist, I choose to live in love, in the light of freedom that is possible only in a republic. I'll repeat that. As Unitarian Universalist, I choose to live in love, in the light of freedom that is possible only in a republic. 3,500 years ago, Zoroaster taught that the universe was the creation of Ahura Mazda and was the site of an eternal struggle between the Holy Spirit and the destructive spirit. The symbol for Ahura Mazda is the holy flame, like our chalice. Today, Zoroastrians still follow the teachings of Zoroaster in Iran, India, and elsewhere. So in Zoroastrian terms, I can say, I choose to live and love in the Holy Spirit. But these days, I also live with considerable fear in my heart. The MAGA movement has emerged as a cult of the destructive spirit, as I see it. Donald Trump has exercised imperial arrogance with horrific results. People have been abducted by masked men in unmarked cars and whisked away to unattainable sites. Israel is furnished with weapons and encouraged to extend its borders by slaughtering Palestinians. Thousands of women and children die every day with their blood on American hands. I live with fear that I may be abducted whenever the thugs of ICE turn their attention to citizens who speak unkindly of their Führer, as I am now. And many of my fellow citizens, even my relatives, support the Führer. Despite his convictions and obscenities, they voted for him. The Supreme Court has capitulated to him. The court is now an agent of MAGA imperialism. The Republican Party is no longer a political party, but a loyal cult licking the boots of the emperor, and corporate Democrats show no spine. They have not campaigned to win, and they have opposed imperialist policy. They have not imposed imperialist policies when they could. At the same time, mobilization against dictatorship in the United States is strong and growing stronger. So I feel glowing embers of hope. The appeal of the Republic remains vigorous. There are many organizations mobilizing people for the Republic, and among them, I work with indivisible.org and moveon.org. I send them money, but more importantly, I give them lots of time. I participate in their activities. I write letters to my congresspeople. I telephone for elections, even in other states, and write postcards everywhere. Indivisible Metairie actually meets in this church, and I invite all of you to consider joining these movements, because it is together that we will save the Republic. We still have opportunities to strengthen the Republic and weaken the empire. Patrick Henry famously said, "Give me liberty or give me death." He chose to live, and he chose to live in liberty, and he did not want to live in a tyrannical empire. We all face this choice, and we can do something about it. In committing myself to the Republic, I withdraw my support for the American empire. Past imperial effects can't be undone, but I don't have to be proud of them. I can try to reverse as much as possible the modern effects of past imperialism, like supporting affirmative action, promoting DEI, proposing the national parks be under control of the tribes whose lands they once were, encouraging diplomatic relations with countries like Cuba and Iran, whose people have suffered from CIA intervention, and so forth. Support for the Republic leads me to want to redress the harm done by the empire. So allow me to withdraw support from the American empire here and now in your presence. I have written my own Pledge of Allegiance, and I will end by reciting it to you. If Donald Trump can try to rename the Gulf of Mexico, I think I can rewrite the Pledge of Allegiance. My version goes like this. I pledge allegiance to the people of the United States and to the Republic which stands for them with liberty and justice for all. I look forward to many conversations with you about our work together. We have much to talk about. Peace.
Community Church is a self-sustaining congregation. Members and friends' generosity help us do the sacred work of bringing justice, spirituality, and compassion to our community and beyond. You can give online, by text using the number at the back of your order of service, or in person this morning. Our offertory hymn is also from the Teal Book. It's 1024, When the Spirit Says to.
You got to do what the Spirit says. You got to do what the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you got to do. All you got to do when the Spirit says. Spirit says do. 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 It goes to sing. You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you got to sing. Oh, you got to sing when the Spirit says sing. 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 Dance. You've got to dance when the Spirit says sing. You've got to dance when the Spirit says dance. When the Spirit says dance, you've got to dance. Oh, you've got to dance when the Spirit says dance. 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 Do. You got to do what the Spirit says do. You got to do what the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you got to do. You got to do when the Spirit says do. 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 Spirit says do.
That was inspiring. Thank you. From Dorothy Day. We have all known the long loneliness, and we have learned that the only solution is love, and that love comes with community. The greatest challenge of the day is how to bring about a revolution of the heart, a revolution which has to start with each one of us. Thank you for your attention today.
Please rise in body and/or spirit for our closing hymn 169, We Shall Overcome. I know you know the lyrics in tune to this one. And then remain standing afterwards for our chalice extinguishing.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday.
Please join me by reading our chalice extinguishing. We extinguish the chalice here that it might flow gently in our hearts. May it light your path as we leave this place. May it guide your way until we are together.